Welcome back, dear viewers, and you're still on the Nile Cruise on Nile TV International and the museums that tell Egypt's story. This is our topic, and Egypt's museum are evolving from spaces that preserve the past into culture platforms that bring the history, the art, and the memory closer to today's visitors and the foreigners coming here into Egypt. And to explore this changing museum experience, we are joined by Sahar Sherif, a licensed English and Japanese tour guide. A very good afternoon to you, Sahar,
Good
and it's a pleasure having you.
Yeah, you too. Good
Thank you so much. How has the role of the museums changed in the recent years in your point of view as a tour guide?
Yeah. Okay, so the museum, or I'm gonna talk about the artifacts at the museum.
Yes.
It's not only something like an object behind the glasses. Actually, by the visual steps in the technology, the visitors became like know more about the story behind those kind of objects. For example, if I'm gonna talk about a statue for the King Ramses II, it just written on the labels like the Ramses II belonged to the dynasty number 19. But what about the story, the society, the religious beliefs? All of this is just became very perfect if the tour guide know very well how to use the visual stuffs, of course, with the storyteller.
And give more details for the foreigners and the tourists in general. What makes the modern museum experience, in your point of view, can be different from the traditional way of displaying the artifacts?
Okay, well, if I'm going to compare between the Egyptian Museum in Tahrir Square and the Grand Egyptian Museum, I'm so sorry to say that, but the Grand
Egyptian difference between the both.
Yeah, there is a difference. Actually, they complete each other. I'm not gonna ignore that the Egyptian Museum in Tahrir is really important and playing a very big role with history and artifacts. But we should keep an eye on this museum more in Tahrir. If we're gonna talk now about the Grand Egyptian Museum, it's a lot of visual stuffs talking about the daily life, the society for the ancient Egyptians. So I can know how they were so brilliant in agriculture, industry, religious beliefs, the art, everything.
How important is the storytelling can help the visitors and the foreigners connect with Egypt's heritage?
Yeah, you came to the point, actually.
This is your point, and this is your specialized field.
Yeah, actually, as a tour guide, if I'm going to tell people information only, they are going to feel bored all the time.
Absolutely,
So, storyteller style or attitude is something like make the visitor feel that he went back through the history and they can feel the experience itself. For example, like when I'm talking to my clients, just imagine I'm starting with once upon a time.
Yes, it's like you're telling the story for a child or something.
Yeah, and they are curious very well to know about all the stuff, what is behind
this.
This
A point of attraction to them.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
How can the museum make an ancient Egyptian civilization more engaging for international visitors?
So actually, I'm gonna surprise you that mostly of the foreigners, their image about Egypt or ancient Egypt equal pyramids, pharaohs, and temples.
And camels.
Yes, and camels, of course. However, camels, they are so cute, but actually Egypt is not like this only.
Yes, absolutely.
It's also like civilization and the traditions for those people we should respect. And if we are going to let people just listen to information, actually they can get it from Wikipedia. But if we explain for the foreigners about the history with something like they were interested in agriculture to survive all the time, or how they were building their houses beside, of course, their tombs. So it was like projects. I'm gonna give you an example, the Grand Egyptian Museum, and this is an answer for anyone who they are talking about that the pyramids were built by aliens and etc. etc. Yeah, so if the pyramids
we
were
have to
built,
tell them the true
no,
story.
It's not built by aliens. And actually, there is like the development that they made it for Giza pyramids area. Explain for foreigners that pyramids were not built by aliens. It was a huge project for them, like the Grand Egyptian Museum. Do you think that less people work on this museum? No, too many people, including Japanese speakers, by the way, because they were working on translation for Tutankhamun Gallery.
Yes.
So they had a huge life and civilization.
Does the technology genuinely improve the museum experience, or can it something distract from the artifacts that are organized or prepared in the museums?
So you're
The
talking
technology,
about
yes.
you're talking about the way that they arranged the artifacts with?
The way that they are arranging the artifacts inside the museum, and the technology can improve the museum experience for the visitors.
Yes, because there are like audio visuals there, and
Yes.
they're like they can show even. However, it's a museum talking about the artifacts, but there is a whole is talking about how they're building the pyramids. The visitors, they can wear a glass, and by visual stuffs AI, they can listen into many different language, of course, and they can understand about what they are going to see through those visual stuffs and see the artifact. So they do like connection between everything.
Yes.
Yeah, even the way that they arrange it, the artifacts with, it's not randomly at all. They arrange it, the artifacts according to their life, by the way. For example, I'm just gonna take 1 minute talking about the Grand Egyptian Museum.
This is my second question. It's okay that you're gonna talk about
Yeah,
it. Yes.
yeah. So if I'm going to talk about
It
how
presented the Egyptian civilization on real
yes,
life.
yes, it's not randomly at all.
Yes.
Taking 2 minutes or 1 minute from your time to talk about the Egyptian Museum in Tahrir Square, they presented the artifacts according to the Egyptian history's dynasties, the royal families. But if we are going to talk about the Civilization Museum, for example, so they arranged the artifacts according to the historical periods.
Okay.
Talking
This is
about
different than
different,
that was,
and even the Civilization Museum, they make it like it fits the artifacts. You are not going to see like only a statue for the King Ramses or Tutames like that. No, you are going to see agriculture, engineering, or architectural work. Even the accessories for ladies, by the way, musical instruments, and they are talking about also religion like the Coptic time and the Islamic time.
Yes.
Moving to the Grand Egyptian Museum, they should be more creative than the Civilization Museum. As you know, it was opened in 2023. So we should be creative about the Grand Egyptian Museum. They arranged the artifacts according to the king's lives. So when the kings were alive, they made like kneeling statues and standing statues. And there they're talking about their beliefs, the relationship between the king and between the gods and goddess. And then after that, they are talking about the Holy Trinities. And after that, the next level, they are talking about when the king died, they put the king, of course, inside the coffin or the sarcophagus. And at the end, you can see a glass, and through the glass, you can see the pyramids, which is the tomb, the place for the sarcophagus, and this is like the end, the eternity for the ancient Egyptians.
How can the museums, in your point of view, Sahar, present the daily life, the beliefs, the achievements of ancient Egyptian beyond the stories of the kings and queens and the monumental architecture?
Yeah, there is something really nice at the Grand Egyptian Museum, specifically in the hall number 4. So they made a tomb which is in Armenia, related to the Middle Kingdom. Actually, I forgot the name. He was one of the high officials, but they made with AI animation. So when you go through the hall, you can see the daily life is talking, like how they can fishing, how they were doing hunting, agriculture. Even they did like an eye, or they did a focus for the hereafter. The life after death.
Egypt has museums covering the archaeology, art, history, literature, and music. How does this diversity enrich the country's cultural landscape in your point of view?
Okay.
The museums has a lot of different departments inside, like the literature, art, history, many things.
Yeah.
How does this can diversity can enrich Egypt cultural landscape in front of the visitors and in front of the foreigners, in your point of view?
Yeah, that's why Egypt is wonderful. Okay, so Egypt is not the land of pharaohs, it's also the land of artists and literatures, and also the land of musicians and singers. I'm gonna mention that too many museums in Egypt focus on biography for some of the writers and some of the singers. I will surprise you that some foreigners they know about Kulthum. So, however, she passed away like 50 years before.
Yes.
But there is a museum talking about
There's still
Kulthum,
talking
and
about
people
them.
know about Abdel Halim. So they are focusing about their belongings and their personal belongings, of course, and their life and how they influenced for the society and etc.
Let me tell you about August. As all we know, marks the anniversary of the Naguib Mahfouz death.
Yeah.
What makes the Naguib Mahfouz museum as an important part of Egypt's culture heritage?
For me, Naguib Mahfouz, he was a genius because he got Egypt as a main character for his novels.
Yes.
So many novels were translated into many languages, and just last week I had a group, they were all asking about where we can find the novels for Naguib Mahfouz, because he was talking basically about all the Cairo and the small streets beside Al-Azhar, like Al-Gammaliya and Al-Hussein, Al-Azhar, and etc. And many of the novels, it just was taken and they converted to movies, they made it alive. So when you feel like you were living with those people when you see or when you watch the movies, of course. And he was talking about also the society classes all the time, and how we were living our everyday life.
Yes.
So Naguib Mahfouz, a
He's
wonderful
legendary
person.
part in Egypt's history.
Yeah.
How can the museums encourage the younger generations to connect with their heritage? How important are educational activities also can interact the young generation through their experiences to attract them to know about their heritage?
Yeah, actually, younger generation, they are very difficult.
Yes.
Yeah, and also to keep them online, we should care about the social media. This is my point of view, to go for the social media to let them know about that the museums, it's not boring, it's not that they are thinking about, and a lot of technology, and they are explaining actually in museums some artifacts it's really difficult to understand, and that's why they have visual screens to explain the mechanism for that. And also they had some stuffs which is exciting, like the Grand Egyptian Museum, they did something like a puzzle, a game, and the people go and join for this game. You can find a lot of people run at the museum. They are not running from thieves, they are running because they are going to solve the puzzles and etc. So for me, for the younger generation, if I'm gonna choose just one thing, social media.
Looking ahead, in your point of view as a tour guide, what should Egypt museums focus on to remain relevant and engaging for the future generations?
First of all, they should know that we preserving our civilization, our history, and they should protect this with us. It's not only like an effort for the tour guides or the government. No, everyone should protect the artifacts. And actually, it's gonna be very nice if we are talking more about the museums and history in universities and schools as well. If we are going to say some advices for the students how to deal with artifacts about our history. It's not only about foreigners, by the way. As a tour guide, I am meeting also Egyptians in my tours, and I'm trying to give them the point of view that please protect your culture, your history, and just talk about us, but when you understand, not from just the stuff so you got it from Wikipedia.
Let me ask you something, Sahar. What differences do you notice between the Egyptian and international visitors' experience in the museums in general?
Yeah. First, I'm gonna talk about the foreigners and then moving to Egyptians.
Yes, for sure.
Foreigners, they are so excited to come and visit Egypt, and even there is a trend on the social media, Habibi come to Egypt.
Yes.
And yeah, they respect the antiquities, they appreciate the history of the pharaohs. I'm meeting people or foreigners, they are crying because they are here.
Okay.
Yeah, and they know how to deal with museums because
Appreciate.
to appreciate the artifacts, because I think in foreigner countries they have strict rules for that, and even they know that something related to the past we should preserve it, not to touch it, not to do something with consider like disrespect with it. And yeah, some nationalities, because I'm not gonna say the nationalities, but some nationalities they don't respect the artifacts, and they start to do some TikToks. They don't respect that. They are in a very important and valuable place. Moving to Egyptian for this point, social media is something like has pros and cons. So social media, if we are using it very right to make our antiquities and our monumental places very viral, it's gonna be nice. But it's something very bad when you see kids and teenagers use the TikToks for doing funny, silly jokes. And actually, I really appreciate the Grand Egyptian Museum after they saw some viral videos that they did a very strict rule that if they can see anyone do this, there is a fine for that. So now I hope that all the museums do the same thing to do
And put the
strict
same
rules.
regulations all over
Yes.
all the museums here in Egypt.
Yes.
Egypt also has some museums can be dedicated to prominent figures. What makes these museums special, and what can visitors discover through the personal objects and spaces of these figures? Like for the Kulthum, Naguib Mahfouz, in your point of view, what can this give the visitors or the foreigners more info for them?
Okay, as I mentioned before, this is kind of, we are talking about the ancient Egyptians like the pharaohs and the society at that time, how it was look like, and moving to the museums which are talking about the legacy for the
Yes.
legacy for the
For someone.
for someone, yeah, they are talking about the modern society, and to be honest, to give more morals, because I am missing the morals which was for my mom and my grandmother.
Yes.
They had some morals which I really respect, and the younger generation now they are keep the wave.
Yes.
And yeah, those stuffs are very important. We are showing that the image of Egypt, it's not only about the pyramids or pharaohs, it's also about the musicians, the art,
Yes,
the
yes, for sure.
singers, the writers. And mentioning the musicians, I'm gonna mention Omar
Omar
Khayrat.
Khayrat, yes. This is
I'm
our
a big fan
legendary
of
musician
Omar
here in Egypt,
Khayrat,
yes.
yeah. And I got surprised that foreigners, they are asking me where
About
I
him.
can find tickets for
Omar Khayrat
yeah,
concert,
for
yes.
Omar Khayrat, yeah. So it's something really amazing for like Egyptians public figures. It's not
Yes.
only the pharaohs that we are famous for.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's what makes us very proud to be Egyptian.
I'm proud to be Egyptian. I'm proud to be a tour guide as well.
Thank you so much, Sahar Sherif, the English and the Japanese licensed tour guide, and thank you so much for commenting and giving insightful information for this topic here on Nile Cruise. Thank you so much.
You too.
And